Welcome to Annie Talks English, a soft space where we speak gently about the loud things inside us. Today, we're talking about something we don't celebrate enough: soft confidence. The kind that doesn't shout, but stays. The kind that doesn't need to prove, but quietly knows. We live in a world that rewards noise, where confidence is often mistaken for volume. We think the most talkative person in the room must be the most certain, the most capable, the most brave. But sometimes the loudest voice isn't the truest one. And sometimes the quietest person carries the deepest strength. Maybe you've been told you're too quiet, too hesitant, not bold enough. Maybe you've sat in meetings wanting to speak, but your heart raced too fast. Maybe you've compared yourself to others who seem so effortlessly confident, loud, charming, sure of themselves, and wondered, why can't I be like that? But what if confidence isn't about being louder? What if it's about being grounded, calm, and deeply in tune with who you are? Let's talk about that kind of confidence, the soft kind, the quiet kind, the kind that doesn't need to shout to be strong. Emma was the kind of girl who always looked like she had it all figured out. She wore soft pastel sweaters, carried her coffee with quiet grace, and spoke gently, as if she didn't want to disturb the air around her. On the outside, she seemed confident, the kind of person people trusted instantly. But inside, her thoughts were a constant storm. Every time someone praised her, she smiled, but deep down, a small voice whispered, "You're just pretending. Don't mess it up." Emma worked as a designer in a creative agency. Every day, she'd watch her colleagues speak up in meetings, bold, expressive, unafraid to disagree. She admired that. She wanted that. But whenever it was her turn to talk, her mind went blank. Her hands trembled slightly, and she'd end up saying something safe, simple, forgettable. Then she'd spend hours replaying it in her head, wondering why she couldn't just be confident like everyone else. One evening, after a particularly rough day at work, Emma walked home under a drizzle that felt like it could wash her thoughts away. She stopped by a cafe, the kind that smelled like rain and roasted beans. There was an open mic night happening inside. Nothing fancy, just a few people sharing poems and stories. She sat down quietly, watching. Then came a girl with short hair, trembling hands, and a shaky voice. Her poem wasn't perfect. Her words stumbled, but her eyes were full of truth. When she finished, the room went silent for a second, then burst into gentle applause. Emma found herself clapping, tears prickling her eyes. That night, something shifted. She realized confidence wasn't about being loud. It was about being real, about standing there, voice trembling, and saying, "This is me." Over the next weeks, Emma started speaking up more, not to impress, but to express. Her tone was still soft, but her words began to carry weight. When someone interrupted her, she didn't shrink. She continued, calmly but firmly. She started volunteering to present her designs, adding her own ideas instead of echoing others. Confidence, she learned, wasn't a mask to wear. It was a muscle to grow. Some days it felt natural, some days it didn't. But every time she spoke with honesty instead of fear, that muscle got a little stronger. And one morning, as she caught her reflection in the office window, coffee in hand, soft sweater, steady gaze, she realized something quietly beautiful. She didn't need to sound louder to be heard. She just needed to be true. For so long, we've been taught that confidence means being certain, that to be confident, you must always know what to say, always take the lead, always be strong. But that version of confidence is loud and often fragile. It depends on how others see you. Soft confidence is different. It's quieter, deeper, more lasting. It doesn't come from being fearless. It comes from being rooted. Soft confidence is what lets you say, I don't know, but I'll learn. I'm scared, but I'll try. It matters to me, even if it doesn't matter to everyone. That's not weakness. That's strength. It's the kind of strength that doesn't crumble under judgment or comparison because it's built on self-trust, not performance. The truth is, loud confidence seeks approval. Soft confidence seeks alignment. When you stop needing to impress, you start learning to express. You stop chasing validation and you start listening to your intuition, to your truth. And here's the secret. Confidence doesn't always sound like I know. Sometimes it sounds like I'll figure it out. Sometimes it sounds like no thank you. Sometimes it sounds like silence, choosing not to respond when peace matters more than being right. Soft confidence is what allows you to walk into a room and not shrink, even if you're quiet. It's what lets you stay kind, even when others misunderstand you. It's what helps you keep your dignity when things fall apart. Because confidence isn't about dominating the room, it's about staying yourself in any room. When you stop equating loudness with strength, you begin to notice how steady your quiet can be. You start to see that the person who listens deeply, who speaks thoughtfully, who acts with integrity, often carries more influence than the one who talks the most. So if you're quiet, gentle, observant, don't see that as something to fix. See it as something to honor. Because your softness doesn't make you less. It makes you anchored. Your quiet is not a void. It's a vessel. It holds reflection, empathy, intuition, all the things the world needs more of. You don't need to shout to be strong. You just need to mean what you say.